Hey, what's up guys, it's Unleash here today, and we are back with another video on Sonic Frontiers. Right, so, after the gameplay reveal yesterday, I've had a bit of time to think now. I think yesterday I was kind of caught up in the moment of watching the gameplay and just being hyped and disappointed and overall just very mixed feelings. I couldn't really think properly. I think that's why my video yesterday came off as a bit completely negative and nothing good about the gameplay yesterday, and I kind of apologize for that, but not everything I said yesterday was complete garbaggio. But now it's a new day and I've slept on it, and yeah, I think I'm out of the loop of, oh my god, it's Sonic Frontiers gameplay, hype. I think I'm out of that now and I'm kind of just able to think properly now, so yeah. I think I did overreact a bit yesterday, so in today's video, I'm going to clear a few misconceptions that both myself and the community have had. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's begin the discussion at hand. So to begin with, we have some important tweets that actually have some very important news about Frontiers to talk about. So, here we have from Mitchell Saltzman. There's more Sonic Frontiers gameplay on the way Friday, by the way. It's going to be focused more on Sonic's new combat abilities. So yes, the first gameplay showcase we did get yesterday wasn't focused on combat, which is why we didn't see any of it yesterday. It was more focused on exploring the world and showing it off. But now on Friday, aka tomorrow, we're going to see more focus on the combat for Sonic Frontiers, which is great. There will be quite a significant tweet from someone who works at IGN, and by the way, the person we just read earlier, that was from IGN too, so yeah. That was my gameplay in the trailer. I was invited to play Sonic Frontiers to get a sense of what the game is like, but I wasn't allowed to record my footage. There's so many cool things in the game that I saw that haven't been shown off yet, so stay tuned. Right, so, I've seen a lot of people saying this, and obviously this has put this to sleep now. The gameplay we saw in that showcase yesterday wasn't from IGN, it was from Sega themselves. The people over at IGN have played Sonic Frontiers, but the gameplay we saw wasn't from them, it was from Sega. So when the people have been saying that, oh, the gameplay looks bad because IGN were just messing it up, yeah, that's the reason. No, that looks like it isn't the case, it was actually from Sega. I saw a lot of people saying that IGN failed that puzzle very easily, and oh, it's just IGN, or they just suck at the games, and I need to remind people that this was a gameplay showcase. They're not going to play through the game as if it was normal. They're going to show things off because it's a showcase. Makes sense. And the reason the gameplay showcased the failing of the puzzle is to show how to do it properly and how not to do it properly. Hence why they failed it first, and then the second time, they did it straight away with no issue. Now this last tweet is where I get a bit worried, I'm not gonna lie, so we might as well read this. So we have Blue Wolf here. Now this was actually the person who I personally saw that actually found the name Sonic Rangers when we first got the, the teaser last year back at the Sonic Central. So looking through the original file of the IGN footage for Frontiers, the gameplay was recorded on May 11th. And they compiled different clips together and named them for what they were, like if it was a clip of the puzzles or pure exploration. Oh god, this clip was recorded last month on the 11th. This footage isn't old or anything, it's very recent footage, pretty much like 3 weeks old by now, and this isn't really the greatest piece of news, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I was kind of hoping that this footage was gonna be early in development footage, but this tweet proves otherwise. Though, I'm just gonna bring this thing up real quick. Maybe this was recorded from a beta version or an alpha version of the game. Because while it was recorded on May 11th, that doesn't necessarily mean it was recorded on the final version of the game. Maybe they just recorded something on a beta or a pre-alpha version of the game, which is why it looks sort of rough. Now, I do think this because we noticed that the music that actually plays in the gameplay showcase is obviously absolutely amazing, or Tiny smashing it, but it's not actually the music in-game. It's just a music track played over the gameplay, which means there's no actual music actually playing in the gameplay. Now, why is it significant? Well, we know over the past couple of months that Tiny's been tweeting on his Twitter that he has been creating some music recently for a project, and obviously, he's only been working on Sonic Frontiers right now, so that must be for Frontiers. And we also have to remember that music isn't really the first thing that you do for development of a game. That's usually in the later stage of the game, so maybe the reason that this music track actually just plays over the gameplay rather than actually in-game is because the music has been finished recently, and obviously they're playing it over the gameplay because the gameplay is from a build from when they didn't actually have the music ready for it. Now, obviously, that could just be me talking as if I'm some sort of game developer or something like that, which I'm very clearly not, so yeah, I'm just kind of assuming things here, but I don't know, that's some sort of theory I have. Right, we're officially done with the tweets now. I want to start talking about the misconceptions and trying to clear things up a bit here because a lot of things just kind of annoy me about this, so yeah. Right, to begin with, let's start with the beginning of the gameplay showcase video. And I don't mean the actual starting of the gameplay, I mean when the IGN person or whatever is actually talking. Because they reveal some crucial details which a lot of people have been seeing have missed us completely and just ignored, and that is a pretty big issue because everything that we see in the gameplay, or on the contrary, haven't seen in the gameplay, could be as a result of what the person in the IGN gameplay said. Right, so the first thing that the IGN person says is, we're getting gameplay for Sonic Frontiers all month. Right, obviously, that right there is a pretty big detail already because that means that this first gameplay showcase isn't going to show everything right away because we're getting things all month. So that's why we didn't see much in this first gameplay showcase. We didn't see any combat, no cyberspace, no anything really. They're going to spread things out through the month, so just bear that in mind. The next thing the IGN person says is that this specific gameplay showcase is only focusing on exploration. Once again, a pretty big detail as to why we don't see any combat or anything in this first gameplay showcase. This showcase was fully centered around exploration and the world that's in Sonic Frontiers in the first area of the game. Not focusing on combat, not focusing on cyberspace, no skill tree or anything like that, just the exploration. The next detail the IGN person gives is Sonic just finds himself suddenly stranded on this area, so obviously Sonic isn't going to know what's going on here. He's going to be walking around without any sense of direction. He's stranded here with no idea where or what this place actually is. Now the final thing that the IGN person says, and in my opinion the most important detail here, is that this is the start of the game. This entire gameplay showcase isn't from like the middle of the game or something, it is the start of the game. The opening. And in my opinion, that explains quite a lot. It explains why there's barely anything to do here because it's the start of the game. They're not straight away going to throw every single enemy and everything they have to offer straight away at your face because it's the start of the game. You first need to learn the different objectives and stuff and how to actually play the game properly before actually getting thrown into some combat or something like that. Alright then. We're done with what the IGN person said about the gameplay. So now, let's talk about the animation in this game. Now this isn't really a misconception that people have had with the game, honestly. I'm kind of just going to give my thoughts on it because I kind of just didn't really do that last time. I kind of just complained and didn't really give any proper criticism on how to fix it and stuff like that. So I'm going to do that right now. So as we all can see, it's very unpolished. They've clearly just taken the Forces animations, chucked them into this open world, but obviously added a few new ones here and there, but it just looks very messy. In my opinion, I feel as if the model is an issue here. I think because of Sonic's proportions, he has shorter limbs but a bigger torso, he can't pull the same animations from Generations, where the limbs are longer but with a smaller torso. If they're going to try to recreate those trick animations they had in Generations, I think they need to stretch his legs, or it just looks a bit awkward. Lost World managed to stretch Sonic's limbs, such as the climbing animation on the ceiling, but I don't really see it in Frontiers. They definitely do some stretch and squash, but it's quite rare. We need more of that if they're going to stick with this model. The walking animation is also an issue. It moves way too fast when Sonic is walking at very slow speeds. They need to slow it down when he's walking at slower speeds, or it just looks very, very weird. Now the trick animation's main issue here is that they played way too quickly. They play for a split second and just go straight back to the falling animation. Slow it down, Sonic team. Jeez, I know this is a Sonic game, but just let the animations play out for a bit. It'd look a lot better if they did do that, and it'd look a lot less janky too. Just let the animations play out for a little bit, and then smoothly transition back into the falling animation. Not just a whatever the heck that is supposed to be. Right then, onto the control. Obviously, Sonic lacks momentum, which is a big issue here, and he also lacks a big moveset. However, this is where what IGN said at the start of the video comes into play. This gameplay that we're seeing is at the start of the game, and from many of the leaks, there is a skill tree present in Sonic Frontiers. Now obviously that skill tree is going to allow us to unlock more moves and stuff for Sonic throughout the game as we progress. And because obviously this is at the start of the game, Sonic's moveset and stuff is going to be quite basic because it's obviously the start of the game. You've unlocked nothing at this point. And obviously the moves that you do have right now, most likely going to be at their lowest level because you've unlocked nothing at this point, remember that. Now, as evidence that you can actually unlock things in this game, if you look at this gameplay right here, if you can see in the top left, we see a trail of rings. Now obviously this means that the light dash is either already in the game or is going to be unlockable as you progress in the game, obviously through the skill tree. Also another thing, in this clip right here, I've seen a lot of people saying that as Sonic goes down the hill, he starts to pick up speed, but then when they press the boost button or whatever it is, the momentum resets and Sonic goes back to his set speed as he goes down the hill. Maybe the skill tree makes Sonic faster. sort of like Sonic and the Secret Rings. In Secret Rings, the game starts off kind of slow and basic, but as you level up, Sonic actually gets faster and unlocks more moves. From the way I see it, in Sonic Frontiers, it looks like there's some sort of speed cap, because as he goes down some slopes, he doesn't really pick up any speed, only until he starts boosting. But then we have this clip right here, where Sonic is definitely getting some sort of speed going down the hill, but then the boost resets that speed. So my guess is, leveling up could possibly reduce that speed cap to allow Sonic to speed up and gain proper momentum, since the speed cap will be higher. I have noticed that the boost in this game doesn't really work like a proper boost as it has in previous games. For starters, it doesn't really make you go that fast compared to the previous boost games. This boost in Frontiers sort of looks like just an easy way to go to full speed, like a speed up button in some way. Now I know that's basically what the boost always has been, but it seems to work differently in Frontiers. In the previous boost games, the boost was very clearly a much faster version of Sonic. Whereas in Frontiers, it just seems like a very easy way to go to full speed, rather than making Sonic go at unblisteringly high speeds. I mean, just look at that boost, man. Does that really look like the same thing that was in Unleashed, Forces, Generations, Colors? I don't think so. Right, final thing about the control here. You remember the trick system in this game, right? Well, I noticed that when Sonic pulls them off, the blue particles that appear actually go somewhere to the bottom right of the screen, most likely the HUD, which has been turned off. This isn't the only time, or the first time, that something goes to the bottom right too. At the start of the gameplay, we see Sonic destroy some barrels, and a pink heart and rings appear, but also some blue diamond shapes that go to the same place as the trick effects when Sonic collects them. There's definitely some sort of XP or gauge which is being refilled there, maybe linked to the leveling up system, or maybe it's those purple coins that Sonic collects. Who knows? Right then, onto the level design of this open world. It definitely looks kind of basic, but once again we have to remember, this is the start of the game. We have to remember that there are 4 islands in this game. This is only a small portion of the first island we've seen. A lot of the stuff we see here looks very first level-ish. Automation everywhere, random areas for tricks, basic puzzles, you know? This sort of looks like they're teaching you how to play the game, and what happens when completing the puzzles. Quick side note about the puzzles actually, we see one of them actually make a rail appear when it's completed. Maybe that's why we see a bunch of things floating in the sky. Completing the puzzles restores parts of this world. Anyways, back on topic here. The other islands will most likely up the danger a bit and make things a lot more treacherous to traverse, adding a lot more obstacles and enemies in the area. Speaking of enemies, we don't see the player interact with them in the showcase for obvious reasons, but we see lots of enemies scattered throughout this area. We do see one of the cyberspace-esque ones chase after Sonic. We also see a bunch of those white ball enemies too, one of which is actually moving along the river. You remember those big enemies that we saw in the teaser 2 days ago too? They're also here. They just seem to be stationary, however, and not moving, which gives me 2 thoughts here. The first of those being that they haven't been activated story-wise yet. We know this gameplay is from the opening of the game, so maybe an event occurs later in the game which causes all these cyberspace enemies to awaken and start to attack Sonic, which is then when we're introduced to a tutorial into the combat of the game. My second theory is that this is an earlier build where enemies have been disabled by the developers so that they can just show off the world properly without interruptions. Right then, onto the pop-in in Sonic Frontiers. But I'm going to be honest here, there's literally no defending this here because it just happens all the time and it's just horrible, man. Like for example, when Sonic finishes doing that hamster wheel thing, I don't know what that is, we just see everything pop in for a brief second as soon as the camera changes, and that is not good at all, man. Now, I did notice, however, is that some things, mostly the rails and the cyberspace things that float in the sky, have some sort of effect when they pop in. If you look closely at them, as soon as they pop in, they have some sort of greenish, bluish effect when they pop in. I don't know if that's actually intended or not, but that is something I've noticed. Maybe that means when all these cyberspace elements pop in, they have some sort of effect actually so that this is intended or something. Now, we do see some enemies actually pop in near the waterfall too, and they have some sort of red glow when they do pop in, so I don't know, man. I feel as if some things are obviously not intended to pop in, but some things are. Or I could just be completely wrong here and it's all just an issue overall, so yeah. But that's pretty much all the things I wanted to talk about in today's video, but I want to end with this little discussion about delaying Sonic Frontiers. I've already seen hashtag delay Sonic Frontiers trending on Twitter yesterday, and I have seen a couple of people asking me, do I think the game should be delayed or not, but here's my thought on it. On one hand, if we do delay the game, stuff like the animations and the pop-in might actually be able to be polished up and ready to go, so that it doesn't look as janky or broken as it does right now. But the thing is, a delay won't really fix the fundamental issues with Sonic Frontiers, mostly to do with the control. if Sonic Frontiers gets delayed, the control won't change. They won't add momentum or anything like that because the game has been built around that control scheme for Sonic. A delay won't change it to adventure gameplay or momentum-based gameplay. The control is just going to stay the same. The only thing that's going to get fixed is the polishing that needs to be done to the game, animation-wise and also the popping. But on the other hand, if Sonic Frontiers doesn't get delayed, maybe by the time the game releases in December, they can actually polish things up a bit with the animation and the popping, because they do still have 6 months left yet, so I don't know, man. Anyways, that about it for today's video. So yes, I know it's kind of a lengthy video, but honestly, I kind of need to get this off my chest because I kind of felt like I didn't really do much of anything yesterday in my reaction to the gameplay, so I felt as if today would be a good day to actually do it properly this time. But yeah, after watching today's video, have your opinions on the game changed, or are you as skeptical as you were before? Let me know down below. Love to see what you guys have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, especially that last one. Don't forget to become unleashed by hitting that join button down below. And remember, it's not necessary. And I will see you all next time. Peace!